Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 177 of Speaking from the Heart. I know that most of us have kids, and we might have them even tugging and pushing us around, even as we're listening to this episode. But what about the people that are around us that act like kids? You know who I'm talking about. Those that are whining and crying about something that is completely out of anybody's control, but yet they want to be heard, they want to be acknowledged. Those that should have never opened their mouth because now they're throwing a temper tantrum. They're trying to get everybody's attention to say that this is the way that we should be handling it. And then you have those that just deny that they ever did anything wrong. They're literally lying to you. They're telling you something that is not true whatsoever. I think that even as we grow older, even as we think that we have gotten through this phase of being an adolescent, there's still adults, even to this day, that keep on acting like kids. And for all those that want to be responsible parents, regardless of whether you have kids or not, today's episode is for you. Because I know whether it's in personal, professional, or business-related topics that we have discussed, we all have to deal with conflict, especially when people, adults for that matter, pretend to be kids and they act out of their own accord, thinking that they're always right. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about the Karens of the world because essentially, even if we wanted to talk about that phenomenon, that means we would have to do a deep dive into social media, why we even give them attention in the first place, and examine why that is even happening. Why do we even care? But even then, I have talked on this podcast about the importance of being able to be heard. And even with kids, having that childlike curiosity can help us raise ourselves to new heights, to new places that we could ever possibly get to. But now, in this context that we're talking about today, we have to be better. We have to be more mature. So let's talk about some of the people that you might face, especially as you go about your day, and how you can navigate through them. Because even children sometimes need to be ignored, maybe even disciplined, or have a stern talking to, which is why I would recommend that even if a kid that is an adult is acting this way, using your words, communication is truly important. I think of three types when I think of this type of conversation. The denier of anything that's actually happening. They're wrong. Everything is wrong. The resistor of change. Those that are really not working on anything whatsoever, and they don't want to change because they feel comfortable the way they are, and they're going to make sure that everybody else doesn't change for their benefit. And yes, even those that are deniers of anything happening at all, that might be happening right now. There might be something that is a true emergency, but they don't care. They want you to not worry about it whatsoever. These types of personas, even in this big macro universe that we live in, even if I wanted to make this a Marvel reference in itself, doesn't mean that we have all these infinite possibilities, all these infinite combinations that we're working through. We have to learn and understand that these connections, these types of personas, could be in a variety of different ways, and they each take their own light. So today, try to approach these areas thinking about how they relate to your business, your professional life, or even your personal life for that matter. First, let's dive into the denier of anything is wrong. These people always say that it's okay. Everything's going great. Why are you telling me this? There is nothing wrong whatsoever. They're literally ignoring you and what valid concerns that you're trying to bring. You might be initiating conversation. You might be trying to give solutions, but they don't want to hear you. I can think of so many times in my life where I had all the information. I knew what I was saying, what I was doing was 1000% correct, especially when it came to work-related tasks. But I was always ignored. I was never listened to. And the only reason why that was happening was because Nobody gave me the time of day. They didn't trust me. Why wasn't I trusted? I don't know. Maybe it was because of something that I did. Maybe it was because of something that was said. Maybe it was because of my position, my status in the company. Regardless, being listened to means that you have to open your mindset to the fact that if somebody's telling you that you need to work on something and they have genuinely seen it happening, give them a few minutes to actually plead their case. I know that children sometimes don't want to listen to reality. They don't want to have truth staring right at them. And for that fact, I know that that will catch up to them. It will actually hurt them in the long run if they keep ignoring you and don't try to fix anything about it. Those are the type of people that you have to say to yourself, as much as I have tried to tell you, this is what's going to happen. This is what is actually going to happen. You need to take action on it. And that's all you can do, especially if your hands are tied. It's a completely different type of discussion when we're talking about your business. And if you are that type of person that is running your business, not listening to those that are around you, it's time to pay attention because they know more and are a lot more educated than you might imagine. They might also have a reason firsthand as to why they're saying what they're saying, and you need to take course correction before you find yourself, not without that employee for that matter, but also might be heading into the red. So those types of people, the deniers of anything is wrong, is something that you need to be careful about. Number 2 is the resistor of change. Now, this is not the same as the first one because the denier is okay with change, but it's okay with it on their own terms. Those that are resistors will throw up roadblocks left and right, trying to get you to not even make any more attempts using your own energy to try to fix what is happening around you. Maybe they don't want this change to happen because it will directly impact them. They're very stubborn. It's almost as if you're trying to give your child a bath. And I know that as a younger kid myself, my mom and dad always had frustration with me, but that's just the nature of it. Some of us don't like to be in the water. And that's exactly how you could associate with this. People that are resistant to change don't want to be changed in terms of their environment. The water that they might be standing in feels okay, but they might have gotten used to the temperature change and the things that are happening, and they have no idea that something bad is occurring. Those that are resisting change have to learn how to understand how change can actually be a benefit. It doesn't mean that every single time a change occurs, it is a negative. So for those that are out there trying to figure out how can we connect with each other, how we can help each other understand that change is okay, go to a Toastmasters meeting. And I know that I've talked about Toastmasters for so long now on this show, but hear me out. Toastmasters helps you to understand and break that vein of thinking that you are good enough, that you are trying your very best, because you can receive feedback that is not only constructive, but also help you in your relationships, help you in your confidence, and build determination to wanting to fix it with a supportive group of people. But regardless of that, you can form teams in your business. You can have other confidants, friends, family members for that matter, that are objective in nature, helping you to give feedback and how you need to stop resisting change. If you're willing to build those kinds of relationships, if you're able to see through the trees and get to the other side of the forest and have that open pasture that you can walk on, you can stop resisting change. So for all those that are doing that and you know somebody that is, try to help them out. It doesn't mean that they have to be tepid in the water. They can be lukewarm, and it's okay if they're just willing to see that it's all right to be cold and hot at the same time. They have to see the bigger picture is what I'm trying to say. The last type of children is the plausible deniers of anything happening at all. It isn't about ignoring it, or is it? Those that say that something is wrong might be ignoring it, but it's not the same type of plausible deniability. Not only do they see that something is going wrong, not only are they resisting the change, but they are putting the blinders up. They don't want anything to do with it, and they will punish you if you are trying to make any sort of attempt whatsoever to do anything about it. Everything is fine. The building might be collapsing. There might be people on fire. There might be emergency vehicles outside, but go back to your desk. Keep on working. And if I need you, I know where to find you. Those types of people are really the most ignorant of them all because you know that you need to do something right at this moment. We've reached this critical moment in which we need to fix this, but they are not willing to budge on their position and they're not willing to change. This type of persona is also denying that anything that has occurred, even after those emergency vehicles showed up, is really serious. They don't care whatsoever about what it means to go through these different situations, these different concerns. I know that maybe those types of people are frustrating to work with because they are simply changing the reality and they don't want to accept responsibility. But you have to also understand that if you can't work with those types of people, if they're not willing to change, and you tried everything that you could, especially with what I have mentioned with the other two personas, it's time to pack up and leave. And I know that can be very hard. I know that can be very challenging. That's almost me saying to you, and I know I'm going to hear it. Josh, you're saying that I need to divorce my husband when he doesn't change one thing? That's crazy. We should be able to work that out. But that's after you possibly utilized all the resources, all the available tools, maybe even going to therapy for that matter, to get counseling for your marriage. And you're still saying that that is going to be okay, that this behavior is acceptable to tolerate. To me, whether you disagree with me or not, it sounds like you're living in an alternate universe yourself. You might be the plausible denier of something that should be changing, and you're not willing to change yourself. I know that's a hard pill to swallow. That means that you have to tell your kids, you need to stop saying that. You're lying to me. You have to set the record straight. And being the parent, sometimes it's not necessarily a responsibility, especially for these kids that should be adults and they should know better. But have you ever stopped to consider that maybe these children, these people that are acting out, never really had a good role model to begin with? And maybe they couldn't grow up because they had some of their own issues. Maybe they didn't know what was going on around them for all intensive purposes because they were fed the wrong information to even look at in the first place. I know that our automatic conclusion is that they are wreaking havoc. We need to do something about it, and it's absolutely extreme. We need to get them in a meeting. We need to give them a disciplinary conference. We need to sit down with our significant other. Tell them that they're doing horrible things to us. We need to blast it on social media when that business does wrong. We need to tell our boss that they're a disgusting piece of shit, especially when they do something terrible to us and they mess with our future. But in all of those rapid fire suggestions of different scenarios that you might be going through, have you ever stopped to ask the question, what is going on? Are you okay? Human compassion is something that at the heart of these three things is really how we can nurture somebody, especially if they're acting as a child, to come back to reality. And I'm not saying that my solution is foolproof. Please don't walk away thinking that I have all the answers. But in the times in which I just wanted to be heard, and I have approached people in Toastmasters, in my relationships, and even addressing my own shortcomings, I realized that I wanted compassion. But guiding these people into positivity is really the first step that you can take in all of these different types of personas, whether they're denying that anything is wrong, they are resisting change, or they don't even care that anything is happening at all. These are all mindsets that if you're just willing to take a moment and have them listen to you, but you do it with a human-centered approach, with a heart of gold, you will find that the whole conversation, the whole tone for that matter, will change. I think that we see some of that, especially in our country, whether you like it or not, of how you can form some of these relationships. It's not easy sometimes starting from scratch, and especially when the culture that we live in means that we have to take sides. But we never had to take sides. That was always our strength, in which we were unified, that we were able to work together, that we were able to share what is on our hearts and on our minds, have constructive, passionate debates, and being able to solve some of the biggest problems growing up by being willing to be on the other side of the table, listening with an intentional heart, an intentional brain of what it meant for them to go through what they're going through. That could be as simple as starting a conversation today with somebody that has pushed you aside, made you feel insignificant, maybe acted in a bad way, especially with the temper tantrums that they're throwing, and seeing that maybe there is something deeper happening. We have lost our way, ladies and gentlemen, in which how we can connect with others. It isn't about responding to social media. We've talked about this on other episodes of why we need to avoid always trying to type it out. Our words, the way in which we say them, the way in which we even speak into our phones, and even our body language when we're there in person, can make all the difference in our relationships, confidence, and determination, especially when we're growing up and trying to speak from the heart. So today, if you know of somebody that is acting that way, whether they're acting like a terrible adult, although they are really a child, and you are trying to help them see the light, try to have it in a different way. Take them out for lunch if you're at work. Have them grab a bite to eat while you're able to drive. Take them into the conference room. Explain to them why you feel the way you do. And if you're at home, take the kids outside. Take them to the grocery store with you. Take them to a nice restaurant. Explain to them the value of what it means to grow up. We all care about each other. I know we do. It's sometimes masked by different motives and tensions that we have inside of ourselves. But if we're able to stop wreaking havoc and we can change the circumstances to a positive mindset, regardless of the types of people that we might interact with, trust me on this. I think you're going to see different results, a different connection, if you will, not only with those individuals, but I think it will help you mature from a child to an adult. Because let's face it, you and I can also act like little children. And it's okay to be reminded that now's the time, as an adult, to learn and grow in a variety of different ways. Regardless of what you might think about it, we have a voice. Let's use it today. Because we have that voice that is all-powerful and excited with childlike curiosity to change the world. Thanks for listening to episode number 177 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.